Hi everyone, Emily here. I am going to do my plaid pattern blanket that I'm working on. I'm sorry, I have a cat laying on it. Here it is. It's really pretty. I haven't gotten too far yet. I gotta tell you, this is really time consuming, but I think it's absolutely beautiful. And I'm going to make another blanket, and I'm just going to make strips of different crochet patterns, and I'm going to sew them all together. But this one is going to be one big one, and I haven't decided if I'm going to try to change the colors a little bit. But I really love the way this looks, and it is easier than you think. There is a trick on keeping the yarn from getting all tangled up, so I wanted to share that with you. If you're making a large blanket like I am, if you don't watch how you change the yarn colors, it can become quite the big mess, and you spend more time trying to undo your mess than you are crocheting. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. I am using, this is either Red Heart or Mainstay. I have a lot of little balls of yarn. I'm using a 5.0 crochet hook, and that is because that's what this yarn calls for. You can use any yarn you want. You could use Bernat Baby, you could use something a lot bigger. Just make sure that you use the crochet hook that the yarn calls for. This is a 5.0. I'm going to make a magic circle to start with, and you could just do a knot. I'm just doing a magic circle because it is really quick, and then I'm just going to pull it. And whoops, okay, there we go. And I have a slip knot on. This pattern is going to be chain 5, and at the end you're going to chain 1. You can see here every block is 5 single crochets. That's why I'm going to do 5 for how many blocks I want. I'm only going to do 4 blocks, so I'm going to chain 20 plus 1. After that, at the end of each row, I'm going to chain 2. So I'm only going to do 1 here at the beginning. The rest of the time I'll be doing 2. I'm going to do the whole 21 in one color. $21. I'm going to stay with the same color, and I want to do 1 single crochet all the way across. I'm not going to go in this stitch that my yarn is coming out of. Always go into your next one. And I'm just going to do 1 single crochet all the way across. I just want to do this first row with single crochets so that I'm not struggling right off the bat changing my colors. If you want to change your color when you get to the end after doing your chain, you certainly can. I'm here at the last stitch. I'm going to go ahead and bring in my new color. You can see here the last stitch. I am going to not finish my single crochet. I'm going to pull my yarn up. Then I'm going to take my new color and take it through. I'm going to pull that yellow a little tight so that it's tight on there. And I'm going to go ahead and start with my pink. So I'm going to chain 2. Whoops. I was chaining my tail. I'm going to go ahead and chain 2. and I'm going to turn my work. Now, I like to tie a knot, and I like to bury my tails. I don't want to have a messy lump of tails at the end that I have to sew in. So if you don't mind sewing your tails in, you certainly don't have to bury your tails as you go, but we do have to bury this skein of yellow. So what I like to do is I'd like to take all these at each end when I'm changing my colors, because you will change your colors every 5th row. I am going to just put this over. Once you get used to having the yarn over here together, it will be a lot easier. So I'm going to turn. I'm going to go into this very next stitch. I'm going to go under both strands, and I'm just going to get my yarn, and I'm going to go underneath all those strands of yarn, and I'm going to do a single crochet. So that chain 2 does count as a stitch. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So on the 5th one, I'm going to stop before I complete this stitch, because I want to change my color. Because remember, every block is 5 single crochets. To keep my yarn from becoming entangled, I have one piece of yarn that I always bring to the front when I change colors, and one that I just let drop to the back. That helps me keep from having my yarn get tangled. I like to use the darker yarn for the one that comes to the front. It's just how I do it, so you can use any color. And again, if you don't want to do this and you just want to keep going and always let your yarn fall in the back, you can too. It's not going to change the pattern. I do this on my big blanket because it helps me keep from my yarn getting tangled. So my pink yarn, to keep my yarn from getting tangled, I'm going to bring it into the front, and then I'm going to take my yellow and I'm going to pull it through. Then I'm just going to bring my pink yarn to the top, and I'm going to start crocheting over it. So every time I change color from pink to yellow, that's what I'm going to do. And I just keep that in my head as I'm going along. And I have used this stitch before. I made a scarf, and by the time I got to the end, I was so tired of my yarn being all tangled up, and it was only maybe 15 blocks. My blanket is a lot more blocks than that. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is my 5th one. So I'm going to not finish that stitch. I'm just going to pull my 2 strands up. Now the yellow, when I go to change from yellow to pink, I'm just going to put my yellow down, and I'm going to grab my pink, and I'm just going to pull it through. Now, let me show you something here that I did not. See, I really need to do that. You have to pull this pink because it's underneath these stitches, and you want to pull it so you're not going to have excess yarn. Because if you don't pull it, sometimes you'll be able to see it coming out. So I'm going to pull my pink yarn through. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to crochet over this yellow. This pink tail is driving me into cuckoo land, so I think I'm just going to cut it off. I think I buried it enough. And when I started making my other blanket, I had such a hard time because I really pulled these stitches really tight because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't, see how that's loose right there? I wanted to make sure that I was keeping the yarn tight. You don't have to worry about it because when you get to the And when you get ready to turn colors, like here, I'm going to bring my pink to the front, grab my yellow, and I'm just going to pull it. Now, I do pull mine a little bit too tight, but then you can just, you know, stretch it back out. So I brought my pink to the front. I'm going to finish my yellow stitch off. I'm going to pull this pink a little bit just to make that stitch a little tighter. And I'm going to do 5 yellows. And apparently I can't count because I have an extra stitch left. So I'm just going to leave that baby floating there. If you have that same problem and you don't like the way it looks, you could always do a decrease, which I think I'll do that. So I don't have that little nipple part sitting there. Now, I am going to go ahead and finish this because I want to turn and go back and have yellow, the color yellow, because we are going to have 5 rows of each for each block. So before I change my colors to where it's yellow, pink, I want to have 5 rows. So when I do this, so you can see my yarn did not get tangled. I want to bury this. You want to carry your pink up. So I'm just going to chain 2, turn my work, and my pink is, just watch that yarn when you turn it. I can't tell you exactly how to do that. But I'm going to bury this pink yarn underneath. So that's 2, because your chain 2 counts as 1, 3. Oh, I'm sorry. I went into the stitch right after. Okay, so don't make the mistake I did. I went into this stitch, the stitch right next to the chain 2. You want to skip that stitch because the chain 2 does count as this stitch. So you're going to go into the next one and don't go under that pink. You're just going under the 2 strands of the yellow. 2. 3. And I'm just going to pull this pink a little bit because I feel like I've got it too loose. And here's my 5th stitch. I'm going to bring my yarn up. I'm just going to drop the yellow and I'm going to pull the pink through. I'm going to pull this yellow just a little bit so that stitch isn't all bent out of shape. And I'm just going to go ahead and do 5 pinks. Now you can see here that if you're not counting, it becomes a lot easier because you can see the colors. And you can see we have 1, 2, and we're going to do a total of 5. Here's my last 5th one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to go in and pull my yarn up. My pink always goes to the front. Going to grab the yellow, bring it through. Oh, okay. I got to remember to pull the yellow, or pull whatever yarn you're changing to. I'm going to bring my yellow through, bring my pink yarn up, and I can continue. I'm going to cut those ends off somewhere down the line. I know this sounds like it might be a little complicated, but after you start going and you get a little ways, it becomes a lot more repetitious. Okay, I'm going to pull that pink because I don't want it to be loose in there. I'm going to drop the yellow, bring my pink through, pull that little yellow a little tight, and I'm going to start with my pink. So I'm just going to bring my yellow up. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm going to bring my yellow up and I'm going to crochet over it. I can't talk and think at the same time. So you can see at the ends where you have that chain 2, you're going to go into that opening and you're going to do your last stitch there. I'm going to chain 2 and I'm going to turn. I want my yarn to get all bent out of shape. And so remember, we're not going to go into this first one here. We're going to go into the next one. That chain 2 counts as 1, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and on the 5th one we're going to stop. We're going to bring the pink, which whoops, now look what I did. I did not bury my yellow. So there is things that you need to watch out for that you do not want to forget. Sometimes I forget to pull my yarn tight, but I haven't on my blanket forgot to cover my yarn. So don't go in the first one, go in the second one. This just takes a little bit to get used to. Holding the yarn, making sure that you're covering the other yarn. So I'm going to pull my yellow that's buried so it's tight. And then I'm going to bring my pink into the front and take my yellow through. And I'm going to bring my pink up so that I can bury it. Now you could change the colors any way you want to. You could use more than just 3 colors. You could do so much with this pattern. Now this is the single crochet pattern, but you can do this also with the double crochets, and it does work up faster. And I think that it almost, this is such a tight stitch because you have that yarn running through it, that it doesn't feel, I want to say not as soft. However, it is, there's no holes in it. It's going to be super warm. Just remember to always stop before you finish that 5th stitch. Pull your yarn that you're carrying underneath, and then grab your yarn and bring it through. So my dark color, which is the pink, I bring to the front, and the other color I just drop. And that will help you keep your yarn from getting all tangled. So if your project is large, believe me, it is definitely going to help. Sometimes I forget to do that, so it won't hurt your pattern. It will just have your yarn so that you might have to stop and correct it. I hope this tutorial was helpful and that you'll give this a try if you found this pattern attractive. I really like it. I think I did make a large one as a baby blanket, and I did different colors. I did I think I did mine with red, white, and then here it was like a light red and a pink. So you can do different patterns with this. Well, everyone, thank you very much for stopping on my channel. I appreciate you all. Have a great day. Stay safe. And when you get, I only have one more row, and then I can change my colors. So how we did it down here at the beginning, and you added in a color. Here you just would do the same thing. You would just bring up the color that you're going to be working on. So you guys have a great day. Stay safe, and I'll be back soon. Bye.